According to AAA, nationwide single-vehicle crashes account for more than 50% of all motor vehicle occupant fatalities. However, anytime two or more objects, motorized and non-motorized, try to occupy the same space, the result is most likely a crash. In several cases, there is an unequal impact when vehicles and trucks collide or when cars crash into pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorcyclists. There are specific laws that govern a number of these other road users. For pedestrians, vehicles are required to yield to any pedestrian in the crosswalk or on the roadway. Louisiana law requires pedestrians to use a sidewalk where one is available. If there is no sidewalk, the pedestrian should walk along the left side of the roadway or on the road shoulder facing the traffic traveling in the opposite direction. Pedestrians must also obey all traffic laws including crossing the road at a crosswalk and paying attention to walk and do not walk signals. While vehicles are required to yield to any pedestrian in the crosswalk or on the roadway, it is unlawful for a pedestrian to leave the curb or safe location and move into the path of a vehicle that is too close to yield. In Louisiana, bicycles are vehicles, and bicyclists are required to follow the same laws as vehicles and should travel in the same direction as traffic. The state also has a 3-foot law that requires vehicles when passing a bicycle to allow at least 3 feet between the vehicle and the bike. Bicycle helmets are also required for anyone under age 12. In Louisiana, anyone operating or riding a motorcycle must wear a helmet as well as approved protective eyewear. It is also illegal to operate a motorcycle while carrying a bag or other articles that prevent the rider from keeping both hands on the handlebars, which cannot be higher than a person's shoulder. Every driver has a part to play in keeping first responders safe. When you see a first responder or other vehicles with flashing lights, slow down, move over, and give them space to move safely. Move over is not only the law in Louisiana and many other states but is also a courteous thing to do. Louisiana's law requires drivers to change lanes when approaching any stationary emergency vehicle and to pull over when it is possible and safe to do so or reduce their speed if they are unable to pull over when an emergency vehicle is approaching. Speed limits are reduced in work zones to increase safety for workers who are close to traffic. Fines usually double in a work zone area, so if the fine for speeding is $100, the fine for speeding in a work zone would be $200. Louisiana allows for automated speed enforcement, but only in Department of Transportation and Development work zone areas. Automated speed enforcement uses an electronic camera to enforce speed limits by assisting with the detection of speeding vehicles and providing photo documentation of the vehicle or driver violating the posted speed limit. Commercial vehicles/buses/large trucks. Commercial vehicles or large trucks have very limited visibility and large blind spots around them called the no zone. Never assume a truck driver can see you in your vehicle. Avoid traveling alongside or close behind a truck. When a truck is backing up, do not pass behind it since the driver might not see you or hear your horn. A large truck with a trailer that is turning right will often need to make a wide turn, which means it will take up space in the left lane or swing into oncoming traffic. Never pass a truck on the right. Large trucks can create wind currents that can affect your vehicle's stability if you are driving too close. Allow enough clearance between your vehicle and the large truck before switching lanes. Treat construction vehicles like you would a large truck and remember they often enter and exit a roadway in unusual places, so give them sufficient room to maneuver. Buses are like large trucks and often have the same difficulty making right turns and need extra space to finish the maneuver. They also often make frequent stops and will pull out into traffic unexpectedly. In cities around the country, electric scooters are becoming more popular. Electric scooters have a footboard mounted on 2 wheels and a long steering handle. They are propelled by standing on the footboard and turning the right-hand grip to accelerate forward like a motorcycle. Laws for electric scooters are changing rapidly and might differ from city to city. In some cases, scooter rides are required to stay off sidewalks and ride on the road or in a bike lane if available, wear a helmet, and do not wear earphones or earbuds. Be sure to understand any local laws before operating an electric scooter, and if riding on the road, obey motor vehicle laws and ride on the right side of the roadway. You should always wear a helmet whether it is required by law or not. Motorcycles, scooters, mopeds, and electric bikes. Motorcycles, scooters, mopeds, and electric bike riders do not have the same protection that you do in a vehicle, which is why it is important to be careful driving around them. Treat these rides the same as you would any vehicle and give it a whole lane. Never try to squeeze into the same lane as a motorcycle, scooter, moped, or electric bike. Motorcycles, scooters, mopeds, and electric bikes are harder to see than other vehicles. Increase your following distance when driving behind them. They can usually stop in a shorter distance than a car. A motorcycle or scooter is affected much more by hazards on the roadway such as oil, water, gravel, and the expanding joints that are often on bridges. Electric bikes operate much the same as a bicycle, only they are motorized. They are a vehicle and ride in the traffic on the right side of the roadway. Often there is a marked bicycle lane that requires vehicles to maintain a 3-foot distance. Room should be given to all emergency vehicles including ambulances, fire trucks, and police vehicles. You may not follow emergency vehicles with activated lights closer than 500 feet. These emergency vehicles might go through a red light. If you hear a siren, slow down and wait until you can see where the emergency is coming from, and then either move over as required by law or stay where you are if you are unable to move over so the emergency vehicle can go around safely. Be aware and cautious when driving near an emergency vehicle. Often, they must drive on the wrong side of the road, on shoulders, or need to leave a scene quickly. School buses. When a school bus's yellow lights start flashing, it is an indication that the bus will be coming to a stop. When you see these lights, slow down and prepare to stop. When a school bus activates the flashing red lights in addition to the stop arm sign that extends out from the left side of the bus, vehicles must come to a full stop, and that includes in the opposite lane of traffic. Stop at least 30 feet away from a bus that is loading or unloading children. Do not move your vehicle until the bus driver turns off the red flashing lights and pulls back the stop arm. Wait for the bus to pass you before moving. Children sometimes may run around the back of the bus. Violating school bus laws is not only dangerous but expensive and might result in a fine of up to $500. In many parts of Louisiana, driving around farm equipment happens quite often. When driving around this equipment, slow down. These are slow-moving vehicles that are often quite large and on many rural roads can take up the entire roadway. Be patient. The driver understands that he or she is delaying your trip and will pull over to give you space to pass when they can. Don't assume the driver knows you are there. Farm vehicles are often very loud, which might prevent them from hearing you. Also, they often do not have a rear view or side mirrors, so unless the driver turns around, they might not know you're there. Pass with caution. If the farm equipment is pulled over or off the road, watch carefully to make sure you can see the road ahead and that there is nothing in the road or any curves or hills that block your view. All-terrain vehicles or ATVs are also known as a quad, three-wheeler, four-track, four-wheeler, or quadricycle. An ATV is a vehicle that travels on low-pressure tires, with a seat that is straddled by the operator along with handlebars for steering control. While ATVs are usually ridden off roadways, they are sometimes seen on the road in rural areas or near recreational areas. If you encounter an ATV on the roadway, treat it the same as any other vehicle. Funeral processions always have the right of way. If you encounter such a procession, do the following. Be respectful. Yield to the procession even if you have a green light and the procession is going through a red light, and wait until all vehicles in the procession pass by. They will have their lights on, and the last vehicle may have flags or hazard lights on. Do not cut into or cut off the procession, and do not honk. Do not pass the procession on the right side of the highway unless the cars are in the far left lane. Although Louisiana does not have many electric, cable, or trolley cars, the ones in New Orleans are famous. When driving around these vehicles, make sure you are paying attention. They ride on dedicated railway lines or cables and have the right of way. They will usually sound a horn or make a sound to let you know they are coming to your location. Roadways also include non-motorized users. Following are some tips on sharing the road with these users. Pedestrians. Never assume what a pedestrian will do. Pedestrians can be unpredictable, especially children, and they are no match when it comes to being hit by a car. Pedestrians also can overestimate their visibility to drivers. Don't assume pedestrians will cross the street at the crosswalks. Mid-block crossings by pedestrians are common. When you wait for a traffic signal at an intersection, stop behind the stop line or crosswalk. Do not accelerate quickly when the light turns green. Always allow pedestrians to cross your lane before you accelerate. Be alert when making a right turn on red. Stop and yield the right of way to cross traffic and pedestrians in the crosswalk. Watch for pedestrians in places where you would find large numbers of them, such as school zones, college campuses, bus stops, playgrounds, etc. Be cautious around pedestrians wearing headphones, earbuds, or who are talking on a cell phone. They might not see or be aware of your vehicle. When a pedestrian is walking along the side of the road, stay to the left of your lane to give them more room. If no sidewalk or path is available, pedestrians are taught to walk facing traffic and as far from cars as possible. Bicycles. Bicycles have the same rights to use public roads as automobiles and must follow the same traffic laws as other vehicles. Bicycles have limited maneuverability, so be aware of and make adjustments for the roadway conditions that might be hazardous to a bicycle, including potholes, gravel, or storm drains. Bicyclists that are riding in a stream of traffic are often difficult to see, so use a good visual search and be aware that their paths of travel will likely mirror yours. Allow bicyclists more time and space to respond to conditions. Give a bicyclist at least 3 feet of space when passing them. Be patient and do not cut off a bicyclist that may be in your travel lane, which prevents you from moving around them. 2 things work against a driver who wants to pass another vehicle: impatience and errors in judgment. Passing requires a critical understanding of speed and distance. When passing another vehicle, you should ask yourself 3 questions, with the answer to each being yes. Is the passing legal? Is the passing safe? Is the passing worth it? Passing is illegal in the following instances: when approaching cars are too close, when a solid yellow line is on your side of the center line or there is a sign that indicates you are in a no passing zone, on a 2-lane road when there is a hill, curve, or intersection, on bridges, in tunnels, near railroad crossings, depending on whether the view is obstructed and traffic is limited to 1 lane in each direction. You also cannot exceed the speed limit when passing another vehicle. When you decide to pass, make the following determinations. Is the road ahead clear? How far away is the approaching vehicle? Can I see far enough ahead? How long will it take to pass and get back into my lane? Can I make the other driver aware that I am passing them? Is there an intersecting road or driveway that might allow vehicles to enter the roadway? Am I being passed or about to be passed? Passing on a 2-lane road is one of the riskiest driving maneuvers there is, and often there is very little benefit realized once you do it. If you are going to pass another vehicle, follow these steps. Position your vehicle approximately 3 seconds behind the vehicle you want to pass. Check for obstacles and visibility. Check mirrors and oncoming traffic. Signal your intention and check your blind spots. Accelerate into the passing lane and identify an escape path. Concentrate on the path ahead and use your peripheral vision to monitor the position of the other vehicle. Check your rearview mirror for the front of the vehicle you are passing. Signal your intention to move back into the travel lane. Change lanes and maintain speed. Safe driving means managing the space around your vehicle. This allows you to respond and react to any situations that come up. The area around your vehicle includes the area in front, to the side, and the rear. It's important to maintain a space cushion around your vehicle. Your most critical space is in front of you. Manage your space ahead by leaving a safe following distance between your vehicle and the vehicle in front of you. At least 3 seconds is recommended, but more is better. The faster you travel, the more space you need to maintain your cushion as a guideline. 3 seconds permits a driver time to steer out of problem areas at all listed speeds on a dry surface and brake out of problems at speeds up to 45 miles per hour. 4 seconds permits a driver time to steer out of problem areas at all listed speeds on a dry surface and brake out of problems at legal speeds up to 65 miles per hour. Increase these estimates if visibility is limited, the roadways are wet or snowy, when driving at night, following large vehicles which have larger blind spots, or if the driver behind you wants to pass. These estimated times do not account for drivers who are drowsy, distracted, inattentive, or impaired and should be increased to account for these conditions as well. Tailgating is a common cause of crashes. Avoid following other cars closely because you never know when the driver in front of you might have to stop suddenly because of something you cannot or did not see. Manage your space to the sides by separating hazards whenever possible using time or distance so that you deal with one hazard at a time. Increase space between your vehicle and parked cars, bicyclists, and pedestrians. Manage space behind your vehicle before pulling off to the side of the road or parallel parking by signaling and tapping your brakes to communicate to the vehicle behind. If you are being followed too closely, allow the faster driver to pass as soon as possible. If you're on a multiple-lane road, move to the right lane so the vehicle behind can pass. Avoid irritating an aggressive driver. Being a courteous and cooperative driver is not only a nice thing to do but also a smart thing to do. A courteous driver respects other drivers and the rules of the road with the following benefits. Drivers experience less stress and are more alert to their surroundings. This often leads to better decision-making and quicker reaction times, which means fewer crashes. A courteous and cooperative driver is someone who pays attention to the task of driving and watches out for any hazardous situation. On multi-lane highways, stays in the right or center lane unless they need to pass another vehicle. Never engages in road rage. Carefully checks for pedestrians and bicyclists when stopped at an intersection and looks left, and right again before making a left turn. Understands bicyclists have a right to be on the street and gives them at least 3 feet of space when passing them. Does not stop in the middle of the crosswalk or start a right turn before pedestrians are safely across the street. Driving on interstates is different than driving on regular roadways. Interstates do not have traffic signals and speeds are generally higher. Drivers are required to merge into traffic, which requires cooperation. When merging onto an interstate, both the driver merging and the other drivers in the right lane need to cooperate. Some steps to follow when merging include the following. While on the entrance ramp, signal that you are merging into traffic. Search for a safe gap in traffic. Pay attention to the length of the acceleration lane. Some merge lanes are very short. Keep checking for gaps in traffic. Accelerate and adjust the speed at the end of the ramp. Travel at a speed that matches that of the traffic in the lane you are merging into. If unable to merge, yield to oncoming traffic until it is safe to merge. Move into the lane when it is safe to do so and turn off your turn signal. When leaving the interstate, make sure you plan ahead, check for the sign that shows which direction you will be exiting and if the exit has multiple lanes. Give yourself sufficient time to move over to the appropriate exit lane. Signal that you are exiting and begin to slow down once you are on the exit ramp. Some exit ramps are very short. Since you have been traveling at high speed for some time, you might enter the exit ramp going too fast. Be prepared to brake quickly. Driving habits are formed because the same physical actions are required over and over again. Your tendency to reduce these repetitive actions results in the formation of bad driving habits. Remember, being a safe and defensive driver is not just a good habit, it is a skill. The skill you could save your life or the life of someone you know.